The NBA draft is right around the corner, and the Cleveland Cavaliers have some major decisions to make. Among those decisions is what position groups to address. And in my amateur opinion, they absolutely cannot leave the 2025 draft without adding at least one big man to the roster. There will be many options to choose from even in the latter stages of said draft. Keeping that line of thought, today we're diving into the potential fit between the Cleveland Cavaliers and one of the most intriguing big men in this year's draft, Kentucky's Amari Williams. Could Williams be the defensive anchor within the second unit they've been searching for? Let's break it down. But before we dig into why Williams remains a possibility, do your boy a favor and smash that like button, subscribe to keep the NBA content coming, and hit that notification bell so you stay locked in all offseason long. Who is Amari Williams? Standing at 7 foot with a 7'5" or 7'6" wingspan depending upon where you look, Amari Williams is a defensive-minded traditional center who made waves at Kentucky for his elite shot blocking, rim protection, and defensive IQ. Prior to that, he was a 3-time CAA Defensive Player of the Year recipient at the mid-major level, suiting up for Drexel College before transferring to Kentucky as a fifth-year senior. While there, he proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that he could hang with tougher competition at the SEC level, as the production Williams displayed at Drexel carried over to Kentucky. In his lone season with the Wildcats, he put up averages of 10.9 points, 8.5 rebounds, 3.2 assists, 1.2 blocks, 0.6 steals, and 2.3 turnovers per contest in the 36 outings he appeared in, all of which were starts. The Cavs' current roster situation. Cleveland's front court has been anchored by Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen, both defensively gifted in their own right. However, after a very underwhelming finish to the 2024-25 postseason, Allen is entering the 2025-26 offseason period with a large cloud hanging over his head in regard to his future with the franchise. The trade rumors have begun heating up, a solid amount of fans seem ready to move on, often questioning his toughness and ability to contribute at the playoff level as well as his long-term fit beside Evan Mobley. In other words, it's a normal offseason for Jarrett Allen. Evan Mobley, on the other hand, despite playing through an ankle injury, managed to continue displaying signs of offensive growth, much like he did during the regular season, and ending the postseason averaging 17.1 points on 58.6% from the field, including 45.2% from three-point range, all of which were career highs. He enters the 2025-26 offseason period with question marks regarding his vocality and willingness to take on even more of an offensive role. All of that said, this duo appears very likely to return. The real issue is that beyond them, the Cavaliers lack a true third big. They have largely gotten through by using a combination of Dean Wade and DeAndre Hunter as the pseudo third big. That cannot and should not be the case entering next year. This is why addressing this hole is such a large concern. How Amari Williams fits. That is a question with a rather straightforward answer on the surface, but let's dive a little deeper and touch on both sides of the ball. Offensively speaking, there were a few areas that stand out in particular, and that starts with his ability to convert around the rim. Williams is a very effective finisher who gets by using his size, length, and athleticism to overwhelm his opponents on his way to the cup. He was among the top 25 centers in the country in percentage of close two-pointers made with a minimum of 100 at 69.3%, and finished the 2024-25 season ranked 8th in the SEC in total two-point field goals made with 137. He does seem to play with decent power and does all the dirty work down low and isn't afraid to mix things up. The big man does most of his damage around the rim and as such has only attempted 4 total triples this season and 30 total over the course of his 5-year college tenure. He's just not a floor spacing threat up to this point of his career. However, Williams is creative in the post, getting himself to the line fairly consistently. He attempted the 7th most freebies of any player in the conference this year with 183 and over 5.1 per game. However, the main point of emphasis for NBA scouts is Williams' ability to bully himself to the paint with his strong upper body and overall build. He was also an active cutter while at Kentucky, who often utilized him as a play finisher or as an extra passer out of the short roll or on entry passes after cuts. With playmakers like Darius, Garland, and Donovan Mitchell in town, his ability to function as a connective tissue would be on full display in the pick and roll. He's a patient play finisher who could be effective out of the dunker spot, waiting for the right moment to cut for an easy dunk attempt. Another positive is the fact that Williams is a quality rebounding big who fights for position early and clears space with his frame. This is often reflected on the stat sheet as he ranks 2nd in conference in total rebounds per game, hauling in 8.5 per contest. He was number 1 in the SEC in defensive rebound percentage at 29.7% and 2nd in total defensive rebounds with 232 this year. He was impeccable on the offensive glass as well. His offensive rebounding percentage of 10.3 and 74 total offensive rebounds both ranked 16th best best in the conference. In other words, you never have to worry about his willingness to box out, as he tends to track down boards and is adept at creating second chance opportunities. But quite honestly, Williams' most intriguing skill may be his passing. He thrives as a high post facilitator who is adept at using his soft touch and passing instincts to create opportunities for teammates. His composure and court vision are two extremely important parts of his offensive game, and as such, his positive impact as a playmaker won't go unnoticed at the next level. NBA teams won't run offenses through him necessarily like Kentucky often did, but if he is consistent in executing his reads, he will have a positive impact in this area. He can recognize open passing angles and often makes quick, decisive reads. His execution may look simplistic, but it's consistent. Extra playmaking is always among the things that NBA scouts look for NBA bigs. He appears to be a high post connector, something the Cavaliers would love to have available off the bench. Defensively speaking, Williams would bring a shot blocking presence off the bench, allowing Kenny Atkinson to rest assured knowing that he could provide both Allen and Mobley a reprieve if needed. He would finish this past season with 44 total blocks and an average of 1.2 per game, 9th and 10th in the SEC respectively. He also topped out as high as 2.2 per outing, which was 15th in the entire country as recent as the 2022-23 campaign. He's a high-level rim deterrent who often forces opponents to settle for challenging looks instead of getting directly to the rim. His awareness allows him to get into the correct positions consistently, and his bounce allows him to turn away opponents at the rim. Williams was used extensively in drop coverage at Kentucky against the pick and roll, and the film tends to show how reliant and comfortable it is for him to operate in that fashion. But if the switch is forced, he can handle his business on the perimeter due to his lateral quickness. Honestly, his ability to switch onto the perimeter is an underrated aspect of what he brings to the table defensively and would fit Cleveland's defensive identity. He has stellar north-south burst, which allows him to effectively jump passing lanes, racking up deflections in the process. He just moves well laterally, which often allowed him to defend in space. What needs work? There is no such thing as a perfect prospect, and that is much the case here. Williams still needs polish offensively. His shot needs a complete rework to become a legitimate threat, and until that happens, it will forever hinder his ability to space the floor in an NBA game that has evolved in such a way that it almost necessitates bigs to learn how to shoot at some capacity. He relies more on size and strength than refined footwork or post moves. This will be a major area of improvement once he hits the NBA level and will be something that needs developed. Defensively, teams will look to attack him on the perimeter or challenge his ability to close out. To evolve into an average closeout defender, Williams has to play less reactive and must play with more toughness and aggressiveness. That is vital to contributing in any NBA defense. He's shown flashes at the college level, but not consistently enough to warrant enough confidence to trust him to do so on a possession-by-possession basis. He must also become a more efficient free throw shooter, as he is a career 62.8% from the charity stripe. Opponents will gladly send him to the line, knowing he can't be trusted to knock them down just yet. This has been a bit of a sour spot for the Cavaliers, as they've been middle of the pack in team free throw percentage in recent years. In fact, they've ranked no higher than 17th in this area dating back as far as the 2019-20 season. It's been that big of a deal. If Williams hopes to impact that in a positive way, he must improve. Overall, most mock drafts have him going in the late second round or undrafted entirely. But for a team like the Cavaliers, he could be a steal, especially on a two-way contract or as a G League development project. If the Cavaliers go wing or guard with their first pick like Kobe Bryant or Ryan Nembhard, they might double back for a big with their second selection. That's where Williams enters the chat. He does not appear to fit the mold of a modern floor spacing 5, something that has become coveted. That said, his court vision, feel for the game, and toughness, an element that would surely be a welcome addition to the team, would present him a real path to NBA rotation minutes. Maybe not in year 1, but in year 2 and beyond. Drafting Amari Williams wouldn't be a flashy move, but it would be a smart one. He's a project, no doubt, but one that could pay off big defensively if developed properly. The question is, will the Cavaliers take the swing? So what do you think? Is Amari Williams worth the shot in the second round? Should the Cavs bet on defense and upside? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to hit that like button if you want more draft breakdowns. Go Cavs.